Welcome back to Bench RacerX here on RacerXOnline.com. I'm Kellen Brauer. He is Donnie Southers. And today we're going to talk about Eli Tomac. What exactly happened in Detroit? Starts up front in the main event. Of course, Jet Lawrence, Chase Sexton, and Ken Roxon end up on the podium. Eli Tomac kind of worked backwards. Now, I was not in Detroit. Donnie, you were. So you got kind of firsthand experience of watching this unfold. What was your perspective initially in seeing it, and how was the crowd reacting too?
So obviously he got a really good start, and everybody in the arena was super amped right off the bat because it was like Jet, Chase, Eli. It's what we've been wanting to see. You know, it's wild that it's taken 5 rounds to get to that, but it really the air kind of got sucked out. The 450 main event was a little bit of a snore, and I just felt like I kept looking up and seeing Eli further back. And as packed as Detroit was, because the crowd was really impressive, they were not very loud during the 450 main event, and I wonder if it was everybody kind of like, what's happening to Tomac? Like, nobody really reacted like you would expect it to.
Yeah, well, it seemed like the sentiment or feedback on the social accounts afterwards was like, is that the end of Eli Tomac? Like, did we just see something that was that bad to end his career? And afterwards, just to quickly get into this, Star Racing put out their press release, and Jeremy Coker, the team manager, said, Eli had a great start, but was not comfortable on the bike in the main and salvage points in 10th. And then Eli himself said, it was a frustrating race, and I struggled in the main event. We'll do our best to rebound next week. So typical kind of PR stuff, not a lot of information in that, Donnie. But, when I guess post-race happens and you guys are dissecting this, you're walking down the tunnels to start doing interviews, and obviously Eli didn't come out to do interviews. Was there a similar sense from you guys being there that like, oh boy, that was really, really bad?
Yeah, and I think if it was any other year, we would say, Eli's always allowed one weirdo one, but he is not really. We've only seen, the beast mode shark Eli one time, and that was in the 3rd race of the Triple Crown. So, he could say, oh, the bike was the issue in the first one, then we had 2 mutters, but now that it's happened twice out of 5, it was definitely a lot more alarm, I guess, and chatter just hearing people talk to the pits. And yeah, Star came down, they brought their Bennett came down to the scrum and did an interview. We saw Romano a little bit, but no Eli, and that was probably a little bit telling. The 450 guys don't always come down, but it was worth noting that he did not show up to do any kind of media after the race.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth noting that Tomac over the years, even his Cowie days, was really shy about ever saying what went wrong or what happened in those tough races that he had, where nights where his front brake was damaged. He got a 15th in Arlington one time, and then obviously, even I think last year at Tampa, he got a 6th, which isn't even that bad, but it looked a little bit off compared to what we had seen out of Eli in the past. And again, just very quiet. So it's not new that he doesn't go around and telling people what was going on, but it certainly did seem to kind of raise some eyebrows. Now, since then, obviously, a lot of people have tried to dissect this a little bit further and try to figure out what's going on. And I am no expert myself on what's happening on the racetrack. So Jason Wygant actually reached out to kind of one of the more well-known suspension guys, and this guy said if you check out the footage in the main event, and he did note Tomac's rear suspensions seemed to be oscillating, as he put it, more than other riders around him on the track. And at this level, the minor details mean a lot on the racetrack. You could have just one thing go a little bit wrong. You could have your shift lever or your brake levers, I should say, be in the wrong spot, and these guys will struggle with that. What we saw, though, Donnie, was in the lap times, Tomac was really good early on, 45s, 44s. They did a 44.4 on the 4th lap of the race, which was the 4th best lap time of the main event, sorted from Roxon being the fastest, Jet Lawrence and Chase Sexton, who are on the podium, were the fastest guys on the track, and then Tomac was 4th fastest. As the main event went on, it got progressively worse to the point where he was going 6 seconds a lap slower than his best lap at one point. And to me, I think that suggests that he either pumped up from this bike issue or there was a bike issue. But what do you think of everything that we're kind of talking about here?
So his first round obviously didn't go so well when he dropped back to, I believe, 9th. And that was kind of the word, is it was a setup problem, et cetera, et cetera. And and everybody kind of said, okay, yeah, we'll give you that, and brushed it off. But now that it's happened twice, and what happened here is very similar to what we saw at A1, of him coming out of the gate strong, running those lap times, and then dropping back. So I don't know if it is a bike problem. I don't know if it's a suspension failure problem, but it is something that we have to say this is becoming a pattern. 2 out of 5 races, we have the exact same thing optically between, how Eli starts and how he finishes. And rather it is an issue where he is maybe compensating for his leg a little bit, and that is leading to arm pump or whatever it is alarming to see this pattern developing in every race. We're now going to be like, is the bike okay? Is his arms okay? And that's just unfortunate because it's not something that we've ever really had to worry about with Eli.
Yeah, it is. I guess going back to last year and talking about that Tampa race where he got sixth, and Eli has mentioned in interviews of late that, on days where he's off and days where the bike maybe, he's not feeling something on the bike correct, he has just backed it down and really tried to manage and hopefully it still gets him in a position to win the title. How much of this would you be, on a percentage pie basis, say, oh, this is Eli just managing versus like there is maybe a little bit more to it?
I don't want to waffle and go 50-50, but without any kind of information, it could go either way. I don't think the Yamaha is a major problem because if that's true, why isn't it happening to Webb and Justin Cooper? So I don't know. And obviously I know everybody's suspension's different. They're all set up different. They're probably built, they're built by different people. But with that being said, I'll go maybe 60% it could be Eli and 40% it's the bike.
Yeah, well, one thing I think we can consider about this round is Anaheim 1 and Anaheim 2 were the driest races that we've had. And Anaheim 2 did have some stuff in the transitions with a few deeper ruts because it rained in California before that. But this is by far the ruttiest dry Supercross track that we've had this year. So the bike setup is going to be quite a bit different. And I think that, not just Tomac, there was probably a handful of guys there that were caught off guard by things that weren't exactly going right with their motorcycles. So I think that's definitely something we have to think about, Donnie, is that, it could be part of a bit of a suspension issue for Eli. It could be part of arm pump, or it could just be on top of that his setup was off. And by the time we got to lap 5, 6, 7, man, he just was not feeling comfortable on the track at that point to push.
Yeah, and I will say a lot of the whispers, I shouldn't say whispers, people saying out loud on press day and during track walk is that this was a different Detroit. People were noticing they're like, it feels a lot harder, things of that nature. The sand section felt like sawdust. I can't describe it to you. It just didn't look or feel like any sand I have ever been around on a track. So maybe it was just everybody set up a little differently and then they didn't adjust well later in the night. But again, like with his teammates and everybody else making that adjustment, it's really weird that, Eli and that star team is so good. How did they not make that adjustment?
Yeah, no, it's fair. And it's certainly a fair criticism across the board about what isn't going right, if that's what the issues are going to be. However, in the past couple of years, Eli's bad races have followed immediately with arguably the best races of his career. And we're coming into a round this week in Glendale where it's going to be dry. They have a roof over the stadium that they could keep closed as long as they want. And it's a track that Eli has done very well at in the past. So rebounding from this, Donnie, what kind of expectation do you think we can see of Eli coming into this weekend?
We need to see a beast mode ride. I think we need that. Rather it's a heat race, a main, whatever it is, he needs to come out and silence the critics. And I think that he will. I think he wants to. And again, the track map looks incredible. It's massive. It's going to be a super fast track. So I'm really excited to see him there. It's just a shame that he has these 2 weirdo rides, because if he could have salvaged even a 5th at A1 in this instead of having issues, he's only 16 points down now. You put him in 5th in both of those, and he is right in the thick of it. So I think that even he knows he has to come out in Glendale and be his absolute best, because he needs to go into the break more in that title fight than I think everybody feels he is right now.
Yeah, for sure. And as you put it, he is only 16 points down. I think you ask anybody before Anaheim 1, hey, Eli Tomac ruptured his Achilles. He's been off the bike for 5, 6 months, finally gets back on, gets ready to race again, when we all thought maybe he would never do it again. And after 5 rounds, he's only 16 points down. I think a lot of us would have taken that. So it's not all doom and gloom in the end. There's still every chance that in a couple weeks' time, this is all forgotten and Eli Tomac's right in the thick of this again. Yeah, definitely a very interesting situation. We'll continue to provide updates as they come of whether or not these guys have more to say about it. I think it's already kind of pretty tight-lipped and will stay that way, but you never know. Some things could change. Thanks, Donnie, for joining me here on Bench Racer X, dissecting Eli Tomac's kind of weirdo Detroit, and looking forward to Glendale this weekend. Be sure to visit racerxonline.com for all your motocross and supercross news.